I'm Evie Jones, and you're listening to Playing on Air. You're about to hear the world premiere of Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary by Rehana Mirza. Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary is part of Playing on Air's wordsmith duo, supported by the Axe Houghton Foundation. The wordsmith duo commissions two playwrights to collaborate on a kernel of an idea and then write their own distinct play, which results in pieces that particularly resonate when they're heard together. Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary's partner play, Typhoid Mary, which was written by her spouse Mike Liu, takes place 8 years after today's piece. Both can be accessed on our website and wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Mirza Liu's plays have been produced widely and include A People's Guide to History in the Time of Here and Now and Soldier X. She is also an accomplished screenwriter, librettist, and filmmaker. Moritz von Stolpnagel directs Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary, having also directed Hand to God, Present Laughter, The Thanksgiving Play, and many more, both on and off Broadway. The cast features Katherine Curtin, well known for her work in Netflix's Orange is the New Black and The Partner Track. Matt Park is an actor, poet, and songwriter who has performed at Joe's Pub, Rattlestick Theatre, and the Dublin Fringe Festival. Michael Chernus is an accomplished Obie Award-winning stage actor who is also known for his work in the Apple TV Plus series Severance and Netflix's Orange is the New Black. And now, Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary.
In 1907, an outbreak of typhoid fever among New York City's elite prompts an investigation from sanitation engineer George Soper. Yes, his last name is Soper. No, that's not fictional. Although, yes, this story is fictional. Historical fictional. Okay, but seriously though, he's a sanitation engineer, and his name is Soper.
Hello, hi. I'm George Soper, American waste collector. I'm here to investigate a bacterial anomaly within a person who I believe works in this brownstone.
Oh, so sorry. I only opened the door because the knocking was bothering me, but clearly it's beneath me because I have people for that, don't I, Mary? Mary! Mary!
I'm cooking!
There's someone at the door, Mary!
I'm cooking! You want your ham or not?
So are the only residents currently in your townhome you, Mr.
Mr. Winthrop. Yes, hello. A pleasure.
And this Mary?
My cook, Mary! Mary Mallon! My wife and the children are vacationing by the sea to get some fresh air. I would join them, but the city life calls to me.
You need me to set a plate for your lover tonight, or are you dining solo?
So this Mary, is she a woman of about 40, tall with a buxom build, blonde hair, blue eyes, and a firm mouth and jaw? Also, a pretty good cook, though she's been observed by some as being not particularly clean in her work habits and difficult to talk to?
Yes?
Wonderful! You see, I've been trying to find a cook by this description and name forever. So many Mary servants everywhere. It's like they've taken all the jobs, you know? Anyhow, I have suspicions that Mary may be a spreader of typhoid fever.
You mean that dirty poor people disease where dirty poor people contaminate food and water and air with their dirtiness or with their poorness or both?
More or less. It's with a bacteria called Salmonella typhi, and I believe Mary is spreading it to the families she works for.
No! It's impossible we would have that kind of an affliction. Everyone is entirely rich and entirely healthy here.
Before they left, your wife and children...
Perfectly fine, so you must be mistaken. They needed some sea air to clear the senses, not the fevers. Not that they had any. It was a hot day when they left, that's all. One moment.
And how long have you had that cough?
I am perfectly healthy, thank you very much. I was fine till you brought up typhoid fever, and now you've gone and put it in my head. I don't like what you're implying. I am rich. I am powerful, and I will get my lawyers involved if you dare say I'm sick with typhoid, which I'm clearly not.
Right. And when did Mary start working here?
Just a few weeks ago.
I see.
All right. The ham is in the oven. What can I do for you now?
Oh, You're Mary Mallon? Witnesses said buxom, but really, that's buxom.
Mr. Soper here is with the sanitation department, and he has some questions for you, it seems.
Mr. Soper? With the sanitation department?
Yes, why?
Soper? Really?
Okay, I think I know where this is going.
Down the drain? Soper?
Laugh away.
Okay, seems like I'm not needed here, so if you excuse me, I must go use the privy. Not for typhoid-y reasons, just for regular reasons, but I may be a while. Ring me, Mary, if anyone else arrives.
So what's all this about?
It's just you and me now, Mary, quite contrary.
Are you referring to me?
Indeed.
Oh, Mary of Tudor.
And yet I believe you may be responsible for hundreds of deaths. Like a real Bloody Mary, except not royal. But yes, Irish, but not rich. But yes, deadly.
I'm not killing people. I barely get out of the kitchen.
Exactly.
You mad? You sure you're not Mr. Soper with the whiskey distillery?
Mary, I was hired by Mr. George Thompson.
Doesn't ring any bells.
He owns a house in Oyster Bay that he rents out for quite a profit. The last people in it was the Warren family. You know, Mr. Charles Warren, the president of Lincoln Bank. Does that name ring any bells?
Might. I work for lots of rich families.
And why is that?
Because they're all lazy and need cooks.
Well, the Warren family vacation ended abruptly when they all came down with typhoid.
That's terrible. I hope they recovered.
They did not. Nor did several other families you worked for, all of whom contracted typhoid while you were summering with them there. Henry Gilsey at Sands Point, Long Island. 4 of 7 servants came down with the disease. J. Coleman Drayton at Dark Harbor, Maine. 7 out of 9 persons in the house afflicted. Plus that outbreak in the city in 1901. Why, you were probably behind that too. I could go on and on. Whoa! I'm so excited to find you.
That's ridiculous. That outbreak was 6 years ago. I haven't been sick for 6 years.
I know! I examined so much trash and sewage and nothing. And then I realized the angel cook who disappeared. Now my research is based on healthy people spreading the disease.
Research? You said you work in sanitation.
But I'm an observer, Mary. And isn't the only difference between observation and science a few letters?
No.
Well, regardless of your beliefs, I believe that you are a healthy carrier of the disease, and so as such are unknowingly spreading typhoid everywhere you turn, probably when you cook. So for the greater good, you'll need to go to a safe location so we can run a few tests.
Hey! Don't be grabbing me.
Oh, your hands are so soft.
That's because I keep them that way. If you scrub too hard, your skin falls off.
Wait, so you don't scrub? Or you don't wash your hands at all?
These questions are getting a bit personal, don't you think? I usually have a gent buy me a few drinks before I start getting into which bits I prefer to wash.
Ah, yes. So, do you want to go out with me?
What's with the giggling? I can't understand with the giggling.
Would you want to go out?
Are you serious?
No. Yes.
Stop giggling. What is it you want from me?
An evening on the town?
With me? You're not joking.
Do you think I'm joking?
I do.
If I weren't joking, what would you say?
I'd say never.
Well, yeah, well, fine, forget it. I only wanted to get your feces, urine, and blood anyway.
My feces? And blood?
And urine.
Oh, now I am absolutely glad I turned you down. You're a loon.
I was just joking anyway.
You're the joke.
Well, no one will ever ask you out again anyhow. I hope you enjoyed your last request, because I'm going to write a book about you, Mary, quite contrary.
Quit that. I told you. I'm no Bloody Mary.
No, you're Typhoid Mary. Yes! take that.
Stop that! I am not Typhoid Mary. You can't possibly say that all the outbreaks are because of me. Every last one.
Well, either that or clams. Do you cook with clams, raise clams, any sort of clam activity?
No.
Okay, then it's you. You want to get in on this book about you? I can share the book money. Wait, no, never mind. You're going away. I never wanted to get with you. I want to get away from you. Come with me.
What the hell?
I'm afraid this is coming out wrong. It's just you distract me with your voice and your buxom face.
Please, leave.
I don't see what the problem is. I just want you to come with me to an undisclosed location where we can perform some simple medical experiments for the greater good.
And I don't want that.
Well, that's foolish. Unless...
Unless?
Unless you're with child?
With child?
Yes, with child, carrying a man's seed, increasing in the family way.
No, I just had my menses last week.
No. Why would you share such intimate details? Wow, just a free bird, aren't you?
You asked me if I were pregnant, and the answer is no.
Well, then there's no reason not to allow for the experiment. There's no life at stake.
There's my life.
Wait, I'm afraid I don't understand. You're Irish, female, uncooperative, and without family. You have nothing.
I have me. I have my cooking.
What is that? Women's work? Big deal.
What do you do before you sit for breakfast, Mr. Soper?
Well, I wash my hands, and then I eat, I suppose.
Because you're hungry?
Yes. Don't you wake up hungry?
I do. But when I'm hungry, I wait. I wait until it becomes real hunger. And then that real hunger becomes annoying pain. So that the hunger stays with me. So that when I wake up each morning to this abundance around me, I consume it with only my eyes until out of nothing, I create whatever my mind can imagine. Just a stray thought. That's fancy, yeah. Maybe peaches and cream today. And it's my very thoughts that fill bodies plucked from my head and consumed. It's the closest a person can get to God, is what it is. A man who says, I have nothing, is a man that doesn't understand what nothing is.
Well, I study the waste of your thoughts.
What?
I also have purpose. After people consume your food, they shit it out. And I see you in their shit. You are the common link, your bacteria, from your ungodly need to cook. So instead of trying to be more than you are, you should understand your place. And your place is locked away where you can do no more harm.
This is because I turned you down for a date?
I never asked you out. Why would I ever ask out Typhoid Mary? Typhoid.
Bah! Maybe typhoid seems bad in 1907, and it seems easy enough to scapegoat the Irish. But maybe next year it'll be a bigger disease, and another scapegoat, like it'll be the Italians in 1908, the Poles in 1909, the Scots in 1910.
Okay.
The French in 1911, the Austrians in 1912, the Dutch in 1913.
I get it.
The Swedes in 1914, the Swiss in 1915, the Kiwis in 1916, the Germans in 1917.
Okay, enough.
The Spanish in 1918.
How dare you be so facetious over a killer disease? You should be isolated away immediately before you cause more deaths.
How many deaths have I caused? Me, personally. You said hundreds? I find that hard to believe.
Well, families have friends and friends of friends, so three deaths, at least. Can you be so cavalier about killing other people, young children?
You don't know that for sure, do you? Have you some sawbones, maybe, but you? A sewage man?
What do you know for sure? You act as if you know so much, but you're just an immigrant and a woman and a lowly cook. There's nothing more dangerous to society than an immigrant and a woman who speaks to me how I should be speaking to them. And frankly, I'm tired of our laden banter. I need you to come with me now!
Can't a man have one place be sacred? All this shouting is disturbing me. How is a man supposed to privately use the privy when every 2 seconds there's a bark from you and a squawk from him?
Sir, This man is not making any sense. He's trying to take me to
an undisclosed location for her own good. Actually, for your good, sir. For the greater good. You don't want her spreading typhoid to your guests and so on and so forth.
Impossible! We are rich, and we cannot catch... Stop putting it in my head! You cannot just take her. Take a person on some theory when she's mine? No.
Thank you.
After all, what will I do without my cook? How will I know when to take out my ham?
During my investigation, I met hundreds of cooks named Mary. I can get you another. A more clean, pleasant, discreet one, perhaps. She'd be in your employ within 1 hour.
Okay. Well, I do like the thought of a clean, pleasant, and discreet Mary taking out my ham. That's fine. This one can go.
I don't want to go, especially not with him. First he's a sanitation worker, then a doctor, now an investigator, and an employment agency. Which is it?
Well, now you're overcomplicating it, Mary.
Overthinking. I found that to be true of women.
Very astute. I trust him, Mary. You should go.
Ah!
Mary, what if you really are spreading typhoid to everyone? I would never forgive myself.
Well, you're the clap, and yet you've forgiven yourself just fine.
You promised you'd never tell anyone.
That's before you tried to ship me off with this one here for no reason. If you think I'm going off quietly with no fuss, you don't know Mary Mallon. If you take me, you have to take all the other folks who are spreading it. I cannot be the sole cause of typhoid fever.
You're the sole cause I can identify at this moment.
And this man seems very qualified.
By virtue of being a man?
Whoa. I feel like I'm hurt. Am I hurt? What's wrong with being a man?
What's wrong with this man right here? You're too good for this man right here?
I feel maligned. Yes, I feel maligned.
That's going into my book, Typhoid Mary, Maligner of Men.
For no reason. None. What have we done? I employed her. She's the one with some inherent poor, dirty person disease.
I offered her a night out despite that.
And because we're men? No charity? None?
Mr. Winthrop, sir, you don't deserve charity when you're taking the word of this man right here, who was hired by another man to prove that his property is still worth a great deal of money so that he could rent it out to yet another man.
And his family.
So yes, I malign both of you because there's no greater good here. There's just goods. The protection of goods. Not of me.
Oh, that is a terribly cynical way to think.
It's the truth.
No. Mr. Soper is protecting you by taking you. But I suppose I do see your point. Is there another way, Mr. Soper?
I guess if she wanted to stay, she could just promise to never cook again.
Fantastic. It's solved. Pack up your bags, Mary, and be off with you.
What?
You can stay if you don't cook, but you can't stay here because the only reason you're in my house is to cook. So, good knowing you.
Never cook again? I can't do that.
Well, I won't be eating anything you make again. You're Typhoid Mary.
Catchy, isn't it?
But I told you, my life is to cook.
Not anymore. Not in my house. Please leave. Mr. Soper, when can you get the next Mary here?
I'm qualified for nothing else. No one will hire me if not to cook.
So I guess your only option is to come with me.
Thank you for your service, Mr. Soper. I owe you a great debt of gratitude. Now, if there's nothing else...
No, Mr. Winthrop. Thank you, sir. Have a good day. Mary, go and collect your personal effects, please.
I have nothing.
All right, makes it easier to transport you, I suppose.
Why are you doing this? You're not a detective or a doctor, any of those things.
Yes, I'm just a sewer man. But Mr. Thompson saw me valuable, hired me to trace the cause of all the mess. Even a sewer man is good for something.
And even a sewer man is better than me.
I wash my hands.
If I go with you, and typhoid still continues on, will you let me go?
Yeah, sure. I don't see why not.
Will I be able to go back to cooking?
If we find out that it's not you, for sure, then sure.
But what if you're never sure? I mean, what if you're never sure, like I'm never sure? If you found an easy person to blame because I'm just a woman? Is it because I'm a woman?
No.
An immigrant?
No.
Uncooperative?
No.
Unmarried?
No?
Because the property is valuable and I'm not valuable?
I don't know what to tell you. You will never know for sure that if you need to learn not to dwell on such things, for you will always be a woman and an immigrant and the wrong kind of person, and nothing you can do will change that. The only thing you can change is how you choose to speak to those who make your fate.
So you're saying, if I were a little nicer, more agreeable, things would go my way?
I'm saying there's nothing left for you here. And as for things going your way, the only way is to go with me.
All right, then, Mr. Soper. Lead the way.
You've just heard Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary by Rehana Mirza. It was directed by Moritz von Stolpnagel and featured Catherine Curtin as Mary Mallon, Matt Park as George Soper, Michael Chernus as Winthrop, and Finn Kilgore as the historian. Hi, everyone. I am Evie Jones, and I'm the executive director of Playing on Air.
I'm Moritz von Stolpnagel, and I'm the director of Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary.
Hi, I'm Rehana Mirza, and I'm the writer of Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary.
Hey, I'm Catherine Curtin, and I am Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary.
Hello, I'm Matt Park, and I am reading George Soper.
And I'm Michael Chernus, and I'm reading Mr. Winthrop.
Kathy, you've done double duty today.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You play Typhoid Mary, same character, separated by a really eventful, or maybe not, 3-year gap. And I know Mike has said that he and Rehana have written the role with you in mind, with your voice in their head. And I was wondering how you thought about kind of playing and distinguishing between the same Mary, separated by 3 years, isolated on an island. How did you kind of distinguish the two Marys today?
I don't know if I did distinguish the two Marys very well. I just sort of felt like, obviously, the first one didn't know what she was, that she was infecting anybody. So she was just living her life. And then in the second script, she'd been 3 years on an island with a dog and basically in isolation. And I think it was humbling and frightening and fearsome. And I think it really engaged the fight in her. You know, she's a sly fox of a blue-collar gal who's a survivor. I think maybe, hopefully, you see that in both, the survivor, but I don't think she's going down without a fight is what I kind of got.
Well, that's a good question, because at the end of the play, I wondered why Mary Mallon kind of finally agrees to go away to this island she has not seen with this man she's never seen. You know, and it's kind of interesting because just minutes before that, she'd said, if you think I'm going to go off quietly with no fuss, you don't know Mary Mallon. And then
Right.
Less than 5 minutes later, she's gone. And I was just thinking that maybe it was your performance, Kathy, but for a while there, it really felt like she had a choice.
Well, you know what? I think that it's very hard for us to understand as New York women what it means to be a woman and not have a choice. But I think definitely someone in this position at that time, a woman would have had to, she was basically a prop. She basically was property. And I think once her employer gave her away, she didn't really have any choice. I think that's somewhat difficult to understand for me in my life, maybe. I think women at this time were really, especially poor women. I mean, they didn't have the vote. They had no right to property. They did not have the same educational opportunities. She was an immigrant. She was Irish. Irish need not apply. Jobs are probably difficult. But she was a talented cook. And I think that that's really what got her through. And it's very sad, in a way that, somebody who had that kind of a passion and meaning in their lives. I don't know. It's a fascinating story. It really is. Was this Typhoid Mary? I mean, was this woman infecting hundreds of people? And by her lack of hygiene and her inability to understand.
Yeah.
And we've just lived through that. So,
Rehana, I think gender plays a really big, broad, jazz handsy kind of role in the play. And in a couple of ways, I think it's really telling and hilarious that Soper is grossed out when Mary mentions her menses. But he's also trying to collect her feces and her urine and her blood and kind of sees no...
There's a line.
Yeah.
There's a line, though.
I guess. But I feel like you had a lot of fun with that. Later Winthrop and Soper are, calling her a maligner of men. And it becomes this reverse discrimination thing. But I just wondered, how you felt about that while you were writing it, if it evolved when you decided to have fun with it.
I have fun with thinking about unfair situations in which people are ganged up on, and they have really no recourse but to go with the group consensus. I guess I'm a little bit dark, but I think for me it's like I kind of find it amusing that like when Mike and I went on our separate corners, we're like, okay, let's do this. Like, what did you come up with? What did I come up with? And his was a very like two female sort of like duking it out in a massive like fist fight to the death, and like mine was like, well, I guess I've just been screwed from birth kind of situation. And I think there's like a certain level of joy that you have to find even within those circumstances. And I think a lot of my work tends to reflect that. It's like, where is you have to live, you have to fight, you have to continue on even when circumstances aren't going to go your way. And what does that look like? And so that's why I just kind of explored through this piece.
And now I'm really missing hearing that fist fight. And I'm wondering what else, what was on the table for you and maybe for Mike as well. What was really cool, like a lady fist fight that you went, maybe not, that could have made it and didn't?
For me, well, I mean, I think it was interesting how there wasn't a question of like who was going to do what. Like he was just like, oh yeah, 3 years after being trapped on a sex island, I got this. And I was sort of like, oh, what must it be like to be like, just like living your everyday life and someone's like, hey, you just infected 8 of the families you worked for, and just be like, what the fuck? Who are you? And so I think that we were both tickled by that aspect of it. And then as we kind of worked through it, really sort of refined based on each other's skill sets. With mine, Mike was like, you have a responsibility to set up like what typhoid is and like what, what Mary used to do for a living and like all these annoying things. I'm like, yeah, okay, I got you. And then for his, I was like, you have a responsibility to like thematically connect to. Basically, I was like, I'll take the racial scapegoating. You get you take the connection to modern day COVID. Boom, go. That's kind of how we did it.
Well, I feel like you made that connection too. Definitely.
Thank you.
I guess it's like hard to avoid in a way, right? Because it just feels like it's something we all lived through and with such significance and are still living through and are still continuing to live through and wrap our heads around and contextualize in our own lives. So, of course it's going to factor in there. But to see the way that you guys have sort of tried to accomplish so much and touch on, as you say, like racial scapegoating and, the disempowerment of, the government sort of being able to sort of come over and say, this is what's going to happen now, is that you're going to lose bodily autonomy and follow whatever instructions we're laying out for you. And because of your class or status or immigration status or whatever it is, you really don't have any recourse. It gets less funny the more you talk about it, I think, in a lot of ways. But also, without the comedy, I think it just becomes a lot of ways too bleak, which I think is, I guess, the value of why we let these things be funny, because it's sort of in some ways the only ways we can start to broach something that is so uncomfortable to look at, I guess.
Right.
Did you and Mike come up with the Mr. Soper jokes separately in your own corners when you were writing?
No,
What's his name?
That's his actual name. So I think
No, I know, but you both worked in the
the soap joke.
The Soper sanitation.
Yeah, I think that's how we decided to write about it. Because when we were in the car, he was like, I don't know, he said something like blasphemous, like, yeah, Typhoid Mary was the one who like poisoned the well water, right? And I was like, what? And I was like, no, let me just set you straight.
Pull over.
So I was like, but I didn't realize the guy's name was Soper. So when I started reading like from the Wikipedia page or whatever, just set him straight, I was like, no. And I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, his name was Soper. And then Mike started laughing. And then we're just like, all right, clearly that's going in both of our plays somehow. Yeah, we're very juvenile.
There's a point in the play where Mary's just listing all the calamities to come for different groups and different countries. And this could have been anything. But I feel like Typhoid Mary is so specific and rich. If you hadn't settled on Mary, what other kind of pandemic-y situation would you guys have thought of?
Well, because we have kids together, too, we were like, let's just write about PTA night. And we had actually drafts of a PTA meeting from...
Can I be in that?
Well, you were in it. And then we flushed that play
If it's going to
down.
be Typhoid Mary or PTA night, I got to tell you, that PTA night is calling to me.
Send Typhoid Mary to PTA night.
Oh. Ooh. But you look at like you have to look at it almost comedically, because it was so irrational. Like we are the most irrational species on the planet. We are headed towards destruction. We are a destructive species.
We are lemmings over the cliff.
And somehow we've managed to keep going. It's amazing. Like how did we survive and the dinosaurs not? The dinosaurs, would they have gone toward global warming? Would the dinosaurs have created a planet that's about to overheat to the point of extinction? I don't know.
Now I'm thinking of a play with dinosaurs talking about global extinction. Oh, no.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Playing on Air, Great American Short Plays with Great American Actors. Our founder and producing artistic director is Claudia Catania. Theme and play music, Tom Kochan. Audio editing, Joanna Lynn Staub. Recording and sound design, John Kilgore. Playing on Air is distributed by PRX, Public Radio Exchange. Special thanks to the National Endowment for the Arts, New York State Council on the Arts, the Horace W. Goldsmith Foundation, and Josie Merck for their support, and to listeners like you. Thank you. For Playing on Air, I'm Executive Director Evie Jones. Thanks for listening.